Hello. If you're new to this channel, I'm Asada, and I've been living here in Copenhagen, Denmark for half a year. Yeah, 6 months. I can't believe it. And as I've been reflecting on the last 6 months of my life here in Denmark, I have been thinking about all the ways my life has changed since I moved here. Some really drastic ways, some more subtle ways, and many surprising ways my life has changed. As an American moving here to this country, I thought I had a good sense of what I would need to do to adapt to the lifestyle here, but oh boy, there were a lot of things that truly surprised me. A lot of things that Americans don't consider about the European lifestyle, the Scandinavian lifestyle, the Danish lifestyle. I thought I'd share 6 surprising and a little random ways my life has changed since I've moved here. The first few things are about my living space. First things first, the lights. Here in Copenhagen, it's very common for apartments to not have pre-installed overhead lights. Now our apartment has lights underneath the kitchen cabinets, the top row of cabinets. We have lights in the bathroom. Other than that, there's no lights. Our bedroom has no installed lights. Our living room, our dining room has no installed overhead lights. What we have is some kind of little circular thing. I have no idea what it's called, where you can install your own overhead lighting if you want. Problem is with that is that if you install your overhead lighting and you place it like in the center of your ceiling, for instance, there's going to be some hanging wires above your head. Unless you somehow can hide the wires in the ceiling. I'm not handy enough to do all that, so I very quickly made the executive decision for our living space to just have lamps and electric candles. And then if we want extra lighting, we just turn on the lights under the cabinets. And we also have some string lights in our bedroom, which I love because it makes our bedroom so cozy at night. And having all those warm lights all around really creates a sense of serenity in our space. So I don't mind the soft lighting. The second surprising thing about my living space here in Denmark, the laundry situation. I feel like in the United States, most places, at least all the places I've lived, have had washers and dryers. But when we were looking at spaces to live here in Copenhagen, there were quite a few apartments that either required you to install your own washer and dryer or had a shared laundry space with the whole building. So I'm really glad that we found an apartment that had a pre-installed washer and dryer. Now the washers and dryers here in Denmark are very different from the ones in the US. First of all, they're smaller, so we can only wash small loads of laundry. In the US, I feel like our washer and dryer was about double the size, so we were able to get a couple weeks worth of laundry into one load. Another thing that's really different about our washer and dryer is that it takes way longer to do a load of laundry. In the US, I think it took about maybe 40, 50 minutes to do one load of wash, and then about the same time to do a load in the dryer. Here, for a standard load of clothes, takes about 2.5 hours for the wash, and then about an hour and a half to dry the clothes. And even then, the clothes don't get super, super dry. Like in the US, our dryer would get the clothes so toasty warm and there was not even 1 ounce of moisture left in the clothing. Here, the dryer kind of dries the clothes, just enough that it doesn't smell damp afterwards. And then I usually end up hanging my sweaters to finish the rest of the drying. Now, the reason the washer and dryer takes a longer time here is because the washers and dryers here are designed to be more energy efficient. It's better for the environment, which I appreciate, although as an American used to the convenience of US washers and dryers, it definitely took a little while for me to get used to how long it takes and how much more work goes into washing a load of laundry. The third way my living situation has changed since moving here is that me and my husband have separate duvets. This is really common in Denmark. I noticed this when we were touring Denmark. Our first couple of times here, hotels would have separate duvets, and I thought it was weird. I was very resistant to the idea. My Swedish husband thought nothing of it. He'd grown up with that being the norm. And before he moved to Copenhagen, I never thought I would get used to duvets. I get really cold at night. Sadly for my husband, that means I usually either hog the covers or end up cuddled really close to him at night in an attempt to keep myself warm. But it was surprisingly hard to find large duvet covers in this country, like near impossible, because it's just not common. Begrudgingly, I had to agree to try the 2 duvet situation out. And it actually turned out to be the best thing ever. American couples, you are missing out, because one really great thing about having 2 duvet covers is you can choose your own personal thickness of blanket. The blanket I use is designed to keep you really, really warm. It's really well insulated, really thick. The one my husband has is quite a bit thinner. So he feels really good under his blanket. I feel really great under mine. And if you really want to cuddle as a couple, you still can do that. You can kind of just push the 2 duvets together or kind of overlap them to create a bigger blanket when you want. But around the middle of the night when you and your partner are warm enough, you can kind of just roll into your own blanket and create your own little like sleeping cocoon. It's made my sleeping much better because when I move around, I don't disturb my husband and vice versa. Now, number 4. This is something I definitely wouldn't have even considered would be anything truly life-changing, but it is. The way I slice cheese has changed. And I have to say, for the better. There's this cheese slicing tool. Actually, you could look it up right now. Cheese slicing tool. What is it called? What is that thing called? Ostehole? I don't know. I assume that's what it is because ost means cheese. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. It's my favorite kitchen device that we own because I love cheese. And anything that makes it easier for me to consume cheese is a great thing in my book. That cheese slicer just makes cutting beautiful pieces of cheese so easy. And I didn't grow up with this at all. In the US, you don't really see this thing anywhere. I was introduced to this by my husband, who grew up slicing cheese this way. It blew my mind the first time I saw him cutting cheese for sandwiches. So it really isn't something that we Americans are exposed to, and I have no idea why. Americans love cheese. I don't know. I guess maybe because we have a lot of sliced cheese available in America, like pre-sliced packaged cheese. So it's not really a necessity. I don't know. But Americans, you need to get on this. Number 5. I carry tote bags everywhere. I never really did in the States because at grocery stores or retail stores, they always provided you with free plastic or paper bags, as many as you wanted. And even at the grocery store, I would double bag my groceries. So I'd take the plastic grocery bag and put all my groceries in. And then because I wanted to make the bag sturdier, I took another bag and put it underneath that bag to make the bag thicker. So I'd end up using tons and tons of plastic per grocery store trip. Now my husband, who was always in the habit of carrying tote bags with him, would bring tote bags with us to the grocery store. And I used to get a little irritated at times because sometimes I just wanted to rush in and out of the store, and he would take his time to unpack his tote bags and make sure everything can fit into the tote bags so we didn't have to use the plastic bags. Now me, an American, I just didn't really see the point of that. And now that I've been living here, I feel so guilty about the amount of grocery bags I used in the past. But to my credit, I always reused those grocery bags. We would keep them in a little collection pile, and I would use them as little doggy bags for my dogs whenever we took them on walks. But still, when I think about all of the bags that don't get reused in the States, it kind of makes me sick. Now here in Copenhagen, I'm never without a tote bag. We keep a collection of tote bags, so anytime we have to go to the grocery store, it's really easy to snag a few grocery bags. Because at the grocery stores here in Denmark, they don't provide free plastic bags. At first, this was an inconvenience for me because I wasn't in the habit of bringing tote bags, so I'd always forget them, and then I would end up bagless at the store, and instead of buying the bags that they do have, which you can purchase, I would just gather up as much stuff as I could in my arms and walk home with all my loose groceries in my arms. Now it's just a habit. And I actually keep one tote bag in my everyday backpack. It's like this little compact tote that my mom bought for me when she went to Dubai. Little souvenir tote bag. And it's actually been a really great gift because I use that little tote bag all the time. It just packs away so easily, and I can just put it in my purse. I can put it in my everyday bag. And then if I decide to take a trip to the grocery store or pick up something at a shop, I always have a little bag. And it just makes me feel so proud when I go to like Zara or something and the salesperson asks, "Do you need a bag?" And I'm like, "No, I got it. I brought my own bag. I'm saving the planet." The sixth and final surprising way my life has changed since I've moved here to Denmark, no matter the weather, no matter how cold or rainy or windy it is, no matter if there's only like a few hours of sunlight on a January day, people are outside. When I moved here, I was determined not to let the weather affect my day-to-day too much. And I feel like that's the culture here. Danes don't really let the weather keep them down. There's a saying that I've heard a few times here. The saying is there's no bad weather, there's just bad clothes. And I think about that all the time. Anytime it's pouring down rain, anytime there's ice on the ground, the few times it snowed here this winter, as long as you have the right layers on, there's no reason you should change what you do. If you're the kind of person who only goes outside when it's sunny and nice, like I used to be, you won't go outside for most of the year here. It was easier when I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, where winters are really short. Here, these winter months have been pretty consistently cloudy and damp, always cold. So I've just gotten in the habit of making sure that I always have my waterproof coat, my hat, wool socks, and waterproof shoes. And all my sweaters that I never really wore in Atlanta are now getting worn every day. I actually think I need to get a few more sweaters. I feel like I can never have enough sweaters here. So if you move here, just be prepared to have the right clothing, especially if you own dogs like I do. I have to go outside at least 4 to 5 times every day to take out my dogs. So no matter what's going on out there, I know I'm gonna be in it. I get asked all the time by my friends back home. I keep referring to America as home, but it's not home, which is crazy because sometimes I just feel like I'm in a vacation in my favorite city, but it's not home, it's my old home. I get asked all the time by my loved ones back in America, how is life there? Do you have any regrets about moving? And I truly can't think of one regret. And it doesn't mean I don't miss some of the conveniences of living in the United States, but I gave all that up to experience peace. Living here has been peaceful, and especially with everything going on right now in the world. I don't want to get into it too much, but I'm just so glad I'm here. Until next time, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope you have a really peaceful and enjoyable week. And I'll see you in the next vlog.